Final Fantasy XVI, the game that's on everybody's lips right now. I played this on PS5 and it's quite an experience. Hey, I'm Dan from GameReviewsAU, thanks for joining me for another game review. So yes, Final Fantasy XVI on PS5. It is an absolute epic visual masterpiece. The graphics in it are that intense that it is not a surprise that it can only be played on the PS5. You know, can't be done on the PS4 because it would not be able to catch up to the hardware requirements. So basically, you are a fella called Clive. You witness your brother die at the hands of a massive monstrosity known as an Acon. Not an acorn, but an Acon. Acon. Yeah. Anyway, and so then he vows revenge on these Acons, and he goes about and, does stuff. Becomes a mercenary or whatever, and so on and so forth. So, story aside, you are controlling this guy who is an epic swordsman. So he can dash, he can dodge, he can counterattack, he can slash, he can power up his sword to be imbued with fire, he can shoot fire spells. There's so much to the combat in this, and it's really flashy, really fast-paced. It does make it feel a bit easy at times, though. I know that is something that people have been complaining about, that it does feel a bit too easy, and it's true. The combat does not really feel very challenging, despite the fact that it is fully action-based. There is no turn-taking. There's nothing like that in this game. I would assume that it would pose more of a challenge because you have those options to dodge and counterattack and parry and whatnot. Kind of like Elden Ring and Dark Souls, but, this is the route they chose, and I don't mind it because those Dark Souls games, to be honest, I can't stand because it's too hard. Boo-hoo, poor me, can't play those games. But yeah, Final Fantasy XVI is definitely a game that is quite playable, quite easy to get used to if you have played other Final Fantasy games. So you might be used to the whole turn-based thing. So therefore, going into an action-based combat game could be a bit intimidating, but Final Fantasy XVI is a good direction to go if you're looking at getting into action-based combat games. I did feel that there was a tad too much story, a bit too many cutscenes, and not enough action. Mainly based on the fact that this whole game is really flashy. It looks really action-packed. The massive battles, Acon versus Acon, are really spectacular to watch. However, they're very linear, actually, those particular battles. You're just going to be, for example, Phoenix versus Ifrit. You were just lining up a crosshair on Ifrit and holding down triangle or whatever and dodging every now and then. I mean, yeah, it looked beautiful. It was so incredibly epic to experience. But it was kind of boring too. And that's how I feel about the amount of cutscenes and dialogue and whatnot. Yes, Final Fantasy games are quite story-based, but I do feel that they need to balance it out by putting quite a bit more action, quite a bit more combat and exploration in there. Now, in terms of exploration, there's not a lot to go on. There is no world map to explore. There is a actual map that you can move from place to place, like little markers and waypoints and stuff. But gone are the days of having a massive open world to explore. I mean, for now anyway. Final Fantasy XVII maybe might do the whole open world, who knows. But at the moment it's just a bit of linearity. You have finished this section, cool, go back to base and then head to the next section, and so on and so forth. I do hear that the game does open up quite a bit towards the end, but that's kind of lame that you have to wait so long to get into the full exploration aspect of the game. It also doesn't seem to reward exploration very much. There's been quite a few places that I've ran around, that I've skirted the edges of. I've gone through little nooks and crannies, trying to see if there's any little secrets or items to pick up, but there very rarely are. So it makes me think, well, I won't bother exploring in this game then. If they're gonna not want me to explore that much, then fine, I'll just play the main story and not worry about the side stuff. Whereas the side stuff is usually the bits that prolong the game's experience and make you feel like it was worth your money. Not saying that this game is not worth its money. It is an absolute captivating gem. There are just quite a few messy bits about it. Yes, Final Fantasy XVI on PS5. I do feel it is an absolutely astounding masterpiece in terms of visuals, aesthetic, combat, flashiness. But in terms of an actual game itself, I do feel there are quite a few things that bring it down, i.e. the linearity, the lack of incentive to explore, the sheer amount of dialogue and cutscenes, and yeah, the difficulty. I'd love it if this game was harder. I mean, yeah, more of a challenge with combat, please. So I'm going to be giving Final Fantasy XVI on PS5 4 out of 5 stars. If you like this review, hit the thumbs up button down below. Remember to subscribe to my channel, and if you do so choose to do so, leave a comment down below. Check out my Patreon page, consider pledging a few bucks. Thanks for watching, see you next time.